Lila stared at her phone, thumb hovering over the photo of her and Mark on their honeymoon, sunburnt, laughing, tangled in each other's arms. 3 years ago. Now, the only time he touched her was when he reached past her for the coffee she'd brewed at 6 a.m., his fingers brushing hers with the same absent-mindedness he reserved for doorknobs. She set the phone face down on the kitchen counter and stirred the pot of marinara sauce, Mark's favorite, though he'd texted asterisk, working late again. Don't wait up. Asterisk, the steam curled into her face, and she blinked hard. Pathetic, she thought. You're crying over pasta. The doorbell rang. Lila wiped her hands on her apron, frowning. Mark wouldn't ring the bell. He'd lost his key twice this month, but he always knocked like he was trying to break the door down. She peered through the peephole and saw a man silhouetted against the porch light, his broad shoulders filling the frame. Daniel, Mark's stepfather. She hadn't seen him since the funeral last year, when he'd stood graveside in a rain-soaked suit, his eulogy so raw Mark had walked out mid-speech. Now here he was, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, his salt and pepper stubble more pronounced than she remembered. Lila. His voice was warm, roughened by cigarettes or grief. Sorry to drop in unannounced. Mark didn't tell you. Of course he didn't. She forced a smile. He's been busy. Daniel's gaze flicked past her to the dim, empty house. Yeah, he said quietly. I figured. Over wine. Asterisk his asterisk contribution. A bottle of Shiraz he'd pulled from his bag like a peace offering. Daniel explained his sudden visit. His divorce was final. The house sold. He needed a place to stay for a week while he figured things out. Lila sipped her drink, studying him. He was nothing like Mark's late father, whose photos showed a stern man in military uniform. Daniel had laugh lines, a habit of rolling up his sleeves to reveal faded tattoos, and an ease in his body that made her hyper-aware of her own stiff posture. How's Mark been? He asked, swirling his glass. Fine. The lie tasted bitter. Work's crazy, but... bullshit. Daniel set down his wine. You've got that look. What look? Like you're waiting for someone who's never coming home. The air between them thickened. Lila's pulse jumped. She should have been offended, but the relief of being seen was intoxicating. She looked away first. I'll get the guest room ready, she muttered. Later, as she fumbled with fresh sheets in the spare room, Daniel appeared in the doorway. Let me help. He took the fitted corner from her, his fingers grazing her wrist. A static shock zapped between them. Sorry, he said, but he didn't move back. Lila inhaled sharply. His cologne was woodsy, layered with something darker, whiskey, maybe. It suited him. Dangerous, she thought. You're tense. His thumb pressed lightly into her shoulder. Right here. She should have pulled away. Instead, she let him knead the knot, her breath hitching as his touch trailed up her neck. This is wrong. But when had Wright ever made her feel like this? Daniel's lips brushed her ear. Lila. The garage door groaned open. Mark's keys clattered onto the tile. They sprang apart. Tomorrow, Daniel murmured, and the promise in that single word sent a thrill down her spine. As Mark's footsteps neared, Lila realized two things. 1, she hadn't thought about pasta in hours. 2, she was in trouble. Lila woke to the smell of coffee, strong, bitter, wrong. Mark only drank the flavored kind, the overly sweet vanilla blends that left a syrupy film in the mug. She padded downstairs, her bare feet silent on the hardwood, and found Daniel in the kitchen, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, scrambling eggs with one hand while his other scrolled through his phone. He looked up, and his mouth quirked into a half-smile. Morning. You take yours black, right? She blinked. How did you? Noticed your mug yesterday. No creamer rings. He slid a cup toward her. Mark still asleep? Yeah. She wrapped her hands around the warmth, avoiding his gaze. The memory of last night, his hands on her skin, his breath against her neck, flooded back, and her stomach twisted. What was I thinking? Daniel cracked another egg into the pan. You okay? Fine. The lie came too quickly. He turned the stove off and faced her fully. Lila. Just her name. Just that tone, low, knowing, like he could see every secret she'd ever tucked away. She swallowed hard. The stairs creaked. Mark. Daniel stepped back smoothly, flipping the eggs onto a plate as if nothing had happened. Breakfast, he called, cheerful. Mark shuffled into the kitchen, his hair mussed, tie already loose around his neck. Since when do you cook? Since I realized your wife's the only one who eats in this house. Daniel's voice was light, but his eyes flicked to Lila. A challenge. A dare. Mark didn't notice. He grabbed a piece of toast and kissed Lila's cheek, dry, perfunctory, like checking off a task. Gotta run. Big meeting. The front door shut behind him. Silence. Then, Daniel's hand covered hers on the counter. You deserve better than that. She should have pulled away. She wanted to. But his thumb traced slow circles over her knuckles, and her traitorous heart stuttered. Don't, she whispered. Don't what? He leaned in, close enough that she could count the flecks of gold in his hazel eyes. Don't tell you the truth? Don't touch you? His voice dropped. Don't make you feel something? Her breath hitched. The doorbell rang. They jerked apart. Lila exhaled sharply, her pulse roaring in her ears. Asterisk saved by the bell. Literally, asterisk. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he stepped back. You should get that. The deliver man held a bouquet of lilies, Mark's usual apology flowers. The card read, asterisk sorry for being distant. Dinner tonight. Asterisk. Lila stared at it, numb. Daniel plucked the card from her fingers. He's trying. Trying would have been coming home last night. She tossed the flowers onto the table. Not sending a peace offering via courier. Daniel studied her for a long moment. Then, quietly, you're right. You do deserve better. The way he said it, like it was a fact, like he would have done things differently, made something hot and reckless coil in her chest. She turned to face him fully. What are we doing? His gaze darkened. What do you want to do? The air between them crackled. Lila opened her mouth. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mark. Asterisk forgot my laptop. Be right back. Asterisk. Reality crashed over her. She stepped back, running a hand through her hair. This is insane. Daniel didn't move. It doesn't have to be. The garage door rumbled. Go, she hissed. He held her stare a beat longer, then slipped out the back door just as Mark's key turned in the lock. Mark grabbed his laptop, oblivious. You okay? You look flushed. Fine. She forced a smile. Just allergies. He kissed her forehead. See you tonight. The second he left, Lila sagged against the counter, her legs shaky. This wasn't just attraction. It wasn't just loneliness. This was dangerous. And, the worst part? She wasn't sure she wanted to stop. Lila spent the afternoon scrubbing the kitchen counters until her fingers ached, as if bleach could erase the memory of Daniel's touch. The lilies mocked her from their vase, their cloying sweetness suffocating. She yanked them out and threw them in the trash, stems snapping like brittle bones. Mark's promised dinner tonight had already been downgraded to a text. Asterisk client running late. Order in without me. Asterisk. She didn't reply. The back door creaked open. Daniel stood in the threshold, twilight casting long shadows across his face. He held 2 wine glasses and a bottle of something dark and expensive. You look like you need this. Her throat tightened. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you. He stepped inside, setting the glasses down with deliberate calm. Stuck in a house that's not a home, waiting for a man who's always somewhere else. Lila crossed her arms. You don't know anything about my marriage. I know he doesn't see you. Daniel poured the wine, the liquid glinting like spilled ink. Not the way I do. The admission hung between them, dangerous and undeniable. Lila reached for her glass. Too fast, too desperate. Their fingers brushed, and a spark leapt between them. This time, neither pulled away. The wine burned going down. Or maybe that was the way Daniel watched her, his gaze tracing the curve of her neck, the flutter of her pulse. Tell me to leave, he murmured. And I will. She should have. God, she should have. Instead, she took another sip. Why are you really here, Daniel? He swirled his wine, considering. I owed Mark's mom a promise. To look out for him. A bitter smile. Funny how that backfired. Lila stilled. What do you mean? Daniel exhaled, running a hand through his hair. You think it's coincidence I showed up now? Mark's been lying to you, Lila. And not just about work. Her stomach dropped. Don't. He's seeing someone. His assistant, Emily. It's been going on for months. The room tilted. Lila gripped the counter, the words landing like blows. She'd suspected, of course, the late nights, the sudden business trips, but hearing it aloud carved something hollow inside her. Daniel stepped closer. I was supposed to talk sense into him, but then I met you. His voice roughened. And I realized he's the one who doesn't deserve you. Lila's vision blurred. Betrayal coiled hot in her chest, but beneath it, something worse. Asterisk relief. Asterisk an excuse to stop pretending she hadn't already fallen. Daniel cupped her face, his thumb catching a tear she hadn't realized escaped. Let me show you how you should be loved. She knew she'd hate herself tomorrow. Tonight, she kissed him. It was nothing like kissing Mark. Daniel's mouth was demanding, his hands possessive, pulling her flush against him until she couldn't tell where he ended and she began. She tasted wine and recklessness and years of pent-up longing. The crash of shattering glass split them apart. Mark stood in the doorway, his briefcase dangling from limp fingers. The look on his face, hurt, fury, understanding, seared into her. Daniel didn't move. Mark. You. Mark's voice cracked. Of all people, asterisk you asterisk? Lila's breath came in shallow gasps. There were no words, no excuses. Just the wreckage of her choices, laid bare. Mark turned on his heel and left, the slam of the door echoing like a gunshot. Silence. Daniel reached for her. Lila. She recoiled. Get out. Let me explain. Asterisk now, asterisk. For a heartbeat, he looked like he might argue. Then, with a slow nod, he grabbed his keys and left. Alone, Lila sank to the floor, the weight of her actions crashing down. She'd wanted to feel seen. Now she was. And it burned.